All systems go. Cleared for takeoff.
What is going on, YouTube Nation? It's your boy back, Nades. I'm back from vacation, ready to pick the winners. Got to bring my guy over here, Hamwich, in. He's been filling in for me all week while I've been at the lake house, doing some fishing, catching some sun, doing the fun Wisconsin weather that we get for 3 months a year up here in Wisconsin. Hamwich, I appreciate you, man. I saw you've been printing winners all week long with the members in the Discord once I did have internet back up at the cottage. How you doing, man? Happy Sunday. It's the last MLB slate before the All-Star break. Nice little break we got, but obviously we got PGA winners next week and then best ball. I'll talk about best ball in a second, but how we doing? Happy Sunday, man.
Yeah, happy Sunday. Yeah, welcome back. We missed you while you were gone. And yeah, one more slate, and then we get a 4-day break on the diamond. So hopefully everybody gets a break, gets recharged, and comes back, I think, Friday, and we'll pick some more winners starting Friday. But yeah, welcome back.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it, man. I appreciate you filling in. Obviously, we've had the winners the whole time I've been gone. I popped in there through a surprise core from the lake. Almost shipped every tournament on DraftKings. I think that was Friday afternoon, Thursday afternoon, one of those slates. It was a pretty good weekend for me back in the streets. Took a couple days off, got regrouped, spent some time with the family up on the holiday weekend. That's what we do over here. We give you the winners. Less small talk, more slate talk. Let you guys still go enjoy time with the family. We all obviously have families over here, and we're not slaving away every single day. We do obviously family time, things like that is important as well. But I talked about best ball with the All-Star break coming up here. Last slate, obviously, our shows are brought to you by Drafters Fantasy Sports. I throw the promo here up on the screen. If you click that link there, shipitnation.com/drafters, use our code SHIPIT to get 100% deposit bonus up to $100. This is huge. This is bigger than your standard promo for drafters.com. Obviously, we have the reigning champion over here, Mr. Title Crown himself, Titletown. Him and Marley have been doing best ball shows. More will be coming this week as well with the All-Star break. Head over to Drafters and use the code SHIPIT for 100% deposit bonus. Again, these shows are brought to you by Drafters.com. We appreciate them, appreciate the partnership over there. We're looking to go back-to-back with the SHIPIT Nation family over here at Drafters.com. Again, NFL Best Ball. Look for more shows coming right here on this channel this week with the All-Star break coming up here. But first, that's enough best ball talk. That's enough small talk. Let's get into the baseball slate talk here. We're going to go pitchers like we always do. Then we'll go game by game. We'll hit on weather a little bit. There is one weather spot that is pretty important because one of the pitchers in that game is pretty significantly underpriced, obviously coming off a perfect game 10 days ago in Domingo Germán. We'll hit on that once we get to that game. But let's go like we always do. Let's go 9K and above on DraftKings pricing. We got 5 guys here, Hamwich. We got Bieber going against those woeful Kansas City Royals. Got Joe Ryan in the best weather environment game on the slate, in my opinion, facing the Orioles, who printed money for me all weekend long, which was nice. We got the Lizard King, Luzardo, Nola, and Eflin. What kind of interest you got in these 5 guys, kind of in this top tier, if you will?
Yeah, these are 5 real good pitchers, but to me, it's pretty cut and dry who we are and who we aren't going to play. I'll just go through all 5. And Zach Eflin, he's 10-6 today on DK facing this Braves lineup. Being the highest priced pitcher and facing this lineup, that's an easy cross-off for me. I mean, if you wanted to get different and get some leverage, I guess you could play him. But no thank you for Eflin for me. Aaron Nola, I really like Aaron Nola. And if Aaron Nola does truly come in as the 4th or even the 5th highest owned pitcher on DraftKings, I'll certainly have a lot more interest in him. I'm just not a believer in this Marlins lineup. We've picked on him, Nate. You and I have picked on him all season long. Aaron Nola is I would say he's an upper tier pitcher. He's not elite by any means, but he's a pretty good pitcher. Marlins lineup's not any good. Arise got a day off yesterday, so he should be back in the lineup. But heavy prone to strikeout a whole ton. Nola's got strikeout stuff, so tons of interest in Nola. Lizard King, yeah, absolutely. Love the Lizard King today. He's going to be my SP1 out of this group. I was all over Braxton Garrett yesterday, and it seemed like every time a Philly got up to bat, they were 0-2, 1-2, then they got a base hit or a home run. Is very tilting to have that happen to me. So going right back to the Lizard King today, strikes out righties at over 30% clip. Not afraid of these Phillies bats against the lefty. And then you mentioned it, Joe Ryan. I do have interest in Joe Ryan. He's striking out over 27% from the right and the left-handed side of the plate. But those two that I've mentioned before him, I'm going to be a little bit lower on him just because of the matchup, just because of the weather that you alluded to, and just because I can get one or both of Nola and Luzardo, depending on where I'm at. And then I don't think you can leave off Shane Bieber. Playing this awful Royals team has just been pathetic over the last 7+ days. The one concern I have with Bieber is I did watch his last outing against the Braves, and his control was just all over the place. I think he ended up with 5 walks, didn't get through the 5th inning. So Bieber scares me just from a control point. But if he can get that control under wraps, I think 2 or 3 outings ago, Nades, he lit this Royals team up in Kansas City. He didn't get the win because they blew it in the 9th, but just strictly dominated them, I think, 10, 14 days ago. So for me in this range, I would say Nola, Luzardo, and Bieber are the 3 that I have interest in.
Yeah, no, excellent breakdown. I'm kind of in lockstep with you. Zach Eflin's cross-off spot, I get it, right? Bradley went out there yesterday and struck out the entire Braves lineup the first time through. And then guess what? Those Braves came back up and started launching bombs like they always do. 10-5 on this slate. I just can't do it. I'm not playing Eflin. If you want to, sure, you can, but I'd just rather not pick on the Braves on the 10-game slate, especially with the most expensive price pitcher with being on that Rays pitching staff, which they're so easy to just go right to their bullpen. One note to make, though, is their bullpen is pretty taxed in Tampa there, so they are going to need Eflin to hopefully push his kind of ceiling of pitches, which was right around 90 pitches. They're going to need him to hopefully go out there, go 5-6 innings, because that bullpen is pretty taxed, and a taxed bullpen against the Atlanta team is definitely interesting when we talk about bats. Nola, I'm with you there. I do think that that Miami game there is going to be a pitcher's duel because Luzardo, I love Luzardo tonight. Lizard here. I continue to I'll pick on these Phillies guys. I get it, right? They got a lot of power in that lineup with Real Muto, Harper, Schwarber, but they also have strikeouts that come along with it. I think Luzardo bounces back here in a big way. I like both pitchers in that game, Nola and Luzardo. If you have the salary, I love pairing those guys together. I do like a cheaper offense overall that I think goes slightly overlooked on this slate. In Chicago, we'll touch on that later. So I like both of those guys quite a bit. Joe Ryan's interesting. I think Joe Ryan, I mean, he's obviously been great. He's eclipsed 40+ fantasy points a couple times this year, I believe. Not too long ago, he just had 45 DraftKings points, a start out there. But I was looking at the weather today in Target Field. It is 90 degrees, 15-mile-an-hour winds blowing out to left field, and these Orioles have been hitting the ball. So I don't know at 9,400 if I'm really going to pick on Baltimore. He should be pretty low owned. I'm seeing right around 10 to 15% ownership on Joe Ryan, which with no real true aces on the slate, Hamwich, would it be crazy to see Joe Ryan go out there and post a big number against these Orioles, which everyone just played? I mean, Orioles were chalk pretty much the last couple of days. I could see it, but I just don't know if I want to do that. 15-mile-an-hour winds, 90 degrees, best hitting conditions on the slate. I think I'll just pass on Joe Ryan, but he does have upside for GPP. I wouldn't leave him out of your MME sets. I don't know if I can get there in 1 to 3 max like I play personally, just with the risk there. And then Shane Bieber against these Kansas City Royals. I mean, I'll always target the Kansas City Royals, especially when they're on the road. I mean, they just have a 26% strikeout rate. One note, though, I did pull up Bieber's last 30 days here, and he does have a 13% walk rate to lefties. And this Kansas City team, looking at it, did roll out 4 lefties. So, I mean, those would be the scarier guys that I would, just because of that control that you brought up right in that last start. But I think Bieber, 9K, good price tag. He is going to be 35% owned. He's probably going to be SP2 in terms of ownership on the slate behind Luzardo. So have interest in him. I'm going to rank this range. I'm going to go Luzardo number 1, Nola number 2, and then Bieber number 3. What's your rankings in this top tier?
Yeah, I think I'm right there with you, Nades. Luzardo, clear cut number 1 for me. Projected highest Ks today at 7. So I do like him. Number 2 would be Aaron Nola facing this Marlins lineup, and then number 3 Bieber, 4 Ryan, and then I'm not playing Eflin, but he would be 5th in this range.
Okay. Yeah, I like that. A good call out too, Tony. I appreciate you in the chat. I did not see Harper got hurt yesterday, but he is not in the lineup today. So good call out for that. Christian Pash is sliding in the 9 hole. And he brings a 28% strikeout rate on the year against lefties as well. So this overall team, 22% K rate with the current lineup, but Schwarber strikes out nearly 40%. And then you got 2 guys down at the bottom that are all near 30%. And then Castellanos down there at right around 30% as well. So I do think Luzardo clear cut my SP1 on the slate. That's enough in this top tier. Let's talk about this next middle tier here, Hamwich. Let's go Giolito at 8,800 and take him down all the way to Kyle Hendricks at 71. So we got Hendricks, Belock, Skubal, Elder, Basset Hound, and then Logan Gilbert with Giolito at the top. I'm seeing not a ton of ownership in this range. Do you see anything that kind of stands out here? Because this could be kind of a contrarian spot. Again, like I said, pitchers, there isn't really that top tier, right? Where like the Spencer Striders and that up at the top. To be honest, a lot of those guys are pretty equal and I could see any of them getting kind of blown up here. So anyone in this range that's standing out to you at pretty low ownership?
Yeah, I don't think so. This is kind of no man's land today. You got, Lucas Giolito, who has strikeout upside, but I'm off him against this Cardinals team. I just think this Cardinals team has some potential danger in there with Gorman, Arenado, Goldschmidt, folks like that. So I'm out on him. Out on Logan Gilbert. I talked about it all weekend with the first 2 pitchers that Seattle rolled out, is how dominant they were against right-handed hitters. Houston rolls out 8 right-handed hitters. Logan Gilbert is not the same pitcher as those first 2 were. He's striking out 12% of right-handed hitters over the last 30 days. So what that means to me is I'm going to have a little bit of interest in Houston when we start talking about bats, because Gilbert is not the same kind of pitcher. I think that Houston Astros offense gets to Gilbert. So no Gilbert. I do have a little bit of interest in Chris Bassett. I know this Tigers team is getting a lot of buzz. I think they're above 500. They're close. Hoop and G. Risen are up there in Detroit, just having the time of their life, with the Tigers actually being somewhat relevant. No telling what G. Risen's doing with those Torkelson cards right now, but I'm not a believer in the Tigers yet. So a little bit of interest in Chris Bassett, striking out 27% of left-handed hitters. They only rolled out 4, which is a little, worrisome. So I'm going to have to dig a little deeper, as we get closer to lock. But interest in Chris Bassett. Bryce Elder, a little bit of interest there. We saw what Spencer Strider did to this Rays lineup last night, striking out double digits of those. But Bryce Elder has not been, and obviously not the same pitcher as Strider, so don't really have any interest there. Tarek Skubal, man, he was lights out the other night for Detroit. He's a great pitcher. Obviously, they no-hit the Blue Jays yesterday. Concerns that you're going to have with Skubal is how many pitches is he going to have? Came out in the 4th inning or got through 4 last time out. He's got the stuff. Does he have a longer leash today? I'm just not real sure, and I'm not gonna pay to find out. And then Belak, no interest in him. Like I said earlier, we'll talk about that Mariners and Houston game. I do have interest in those Mariners bats. And then Kyle Hendricks, I'm not playing Kyle Hendricks. He's old. He throws at about 79 miles an hour, so I'm off of Kyle Hendricks.
Yeah, I think you could go up there against Kyle Hendricks and maybe get the barrel on the bat or the barrel on the ball a little bit here. But great breakdown. Giolito, I'll start with Giolito at the top. I do have interest in Giolito. I'm seeing 10 to 12% ownership on him. It is the Cardinals. I get it, right? They do have Arenado. They do have Goldschmidt in that lineup. Donovan's been good, but it is still the Cardinals, and he has a pretty healthy projection. Nobody really wants to play him. So I do have a little bit of interest in Giolito, but I also have some interest in some of those Cardinals bats as well. It's just the nature of the pitching slate that we have on hand. And Giolito's been pretty solid overall. If you look at his starts, I've picked on this Cardinals team quite a bit with the pitchers. It's done me pretty well. So I do have a little bit more interest in Giolito. It's hard for me to ignore that projection and the projected ownership there. So I do like that. Logan Gilbert, out on Logan Gilbert. I'm just not going to do it. You made great points there. I think my favorite guy in this range is Chris Bassett. I was pulling it up. I think the Tigers, I mean, G. Risen's probably stroking it up there in Hoop's backyard, right? They're watching the Tigers in Hoop's mansion up there and sitting in the backyard. I mean, G. Risen's probably got two Torkelson cards in each hand, stroking it, but I'm not going to do it. I'm going to target these Tigers. I don't care. I mean, Bassett does have a 26% strikeout rate against this Detroit team. He's been solid as well. I'm seeing 10 to 12% ownership on him as well. Pretty healthy projection. So in this range, I think my favorite is Chris Bassett. My second favorite is going to be Bryce Elder. These Rays have come back down to earth. I get it. They still have an incredible record, right? But they were lights out in the beginning of the year. I get it. Bryce Elder is regressing a little bit, just right around a 20% K rate. But these Rays, I watched that game yesterday on that night slate because I stacked up the Braves in that night slate. And, man, these Rays looked lost at the plate. I get it. It's Spencer Strider, complete different tier than Bryce Elder. But I do think Bryce Elder can go out there. I think the Braves can beat around, especially if they get to Eflin. I think they can beat around this bullpen that's pretty banged up right now, pretty taxed for Tampa. So I think Elder should be in line for the win as well. And if you look at our proprietary rankings over here on SHIPIT Nation, which have been absolutely on fire all season long, he's ranked very well. So it's hard for me to ignore that at 8K. So I'm going to go Bassett number 1 in this range, Bryce Elder number 2. I don't have any interest in those guys in the 7K range. I'm not going to go back to Scooball, who maybe gets to 70 pitches, 75 pitches here. He's got to be absolutely perfect with that kind of leash, kind of like last game. I'm not going to be a believer. People might have interest. They'll click on the game log, right? See 6 strikeouts. The dude he pitched probably the most perfect game that he could have pitched in those limited pitches. I'm not going to go right back to him against this Toronto team. So I'm out on the 7K range. I like those two guys there in the middle in Bassett and Elder. And then if I had to pick a third, it would be Giolito at the top. Let's hit on the rest of these guys in this on this slate here. Hamwich. We're going to go Reese Olson. You got Domingo Germán, Sears, Lively, Gibson, Wade Miley, a bunch of junk down here. Steven Matz making his return as a starter. Obviously, he was 0-7 to start the year as a starter. The Cards threw him to the bullpen. He pitched all right, but now out of desperation, they have him back in the starting lineup. I actually like the bats against Mr. Matz, but he does have a pretty good projection. So hit on him. But the pivotal talking point on this lower tier is Domingo Germán. Pulling up the weather, it is a little bit sketchy. I will agree. The weather there in Chicago, storms likely are going to come in. So does Domingo Germán go out there, get 2 or 3 innings in, the rain comes in, right? And he's likely not coming back out after a delay in game. So hit on that because I'm seeing about 35% ownership on him. Obviously, 10 days ago threw the perfect game against the Athletics. Now gets the Cubs here, who is still a pretty good matchup. So hit on him. Anyone else you have in this lower tier?
Yeah, and just one quick note: that game is in New York today, in the Bronx. So check the rain in the Bronx and not Chicago if you're looking at the weather and not somebody else. But I don't have interest in Germán, and I don't really have any true interest in the Cubs either. But I mean, outside of that game that Germán, the perfect game that he threw, he's had a subpar year, in my opinion, and I think he is attackable. I don't know if this Cubs full stack is who I want to attack him with. I do have some interest in some of these bats, actually, if this game plays. So I will not have I'm like you, Nades. I'm a 3 max, single entry type of guy, and I won't have any of Germán today. The only pitcher that I do want to talk about in this range that I do have a little bit of interest in is a guy that you and I have discussed on the show numerous times. Had a really good last outing, and that's J.P. Sears for the Oakland Athletics. And he faced Detroit last time. Last time you and I talked about it, he was facing your Brewers up in Milwaukee on a Sunday as well. Pitched decent. 6,500 today. His salary has really fluctuated over the last 2 weeks. And I get it. These Red Sox are a different animal at Fenway. But, if I can get 6 innings out of him, 3 earned runs, 7 strikeouts, something like that, I think he's fine at that price. Me personally, I'm just not really sold on the Red Sox batters. Once you get down in that bottom tier of batters, 5 through 9, it's just not very dangerous in my opinion. The park is the biggest factor to me. So anybody down here, I would play JP Sears, and that's if I was really struggling for salary. That's where I would go. Nate would be him, and then Reese Olson, projected long reliever. So that just tells me right there that Skubal is 4 innings or 70 some odd pitches, something like you mentioned a minute ago. So no interest in this tier other than JP Sears.
Yeah, no, great breakdown. I do have a little bit different takes. I see our guy Title Crown in the chat popping in. Again, Title will be giving you those best ball winners. Again, brought to you by drafters.com. We are partnered with them, and they are sponsor all of our shows over here. So we appreciate them over at drafters.com. And Title is going to try and run it back this year for a milli, not 250 stacks, a milli this year over on Drafters, their main best ball contest. Again, hit up Titletown in the Discord if you do have best ball questions. Big Marley in there as well, helping out. So we definitely appreciate Titletown tuning in on this Sunday to catch some winners for himself. Obviously, I saw incredible breakdowns yesterday of the MMA fights. I saw Mr. Hamwish tossing a couple of racks on Title's favorite fighter. Had a nice little profitable bet slip there with Title's little nugget he dropped on the slate plan over here for MMA content on SHIPIT Nation. Again, we got you all covered. $59 a month, $5.99 for the year. All slates, all sports, all main sports, I should say. But even NASCAR, League of Legends, things like that. There's members in the general discussion in the Discord dropping nuggets, printing winners. I see slips in there all the time from screenshots from members discussing in the general cord, which is absolutely awesome to see, right? Even though we're not providing content for those, the members are still helping out other members in the Discord, which we love to see. One of the best Discords I've ever been a part of in this industry. Very, very minimal tilt in that Discord. A lot of successful members in there. Obviously, we're in there all the time answering questions stuff. So ShipItNation.com, $59 a month does get you access to all of that. And don't join Titletown in Big Marley this week as they break down more best ball content, do some live drafts together with the All-Star break on tap here for us. But I will break down this lower range. I do have a little bit more interest in Domingo Germán. Again, yes, the game is in the Bronx there. My apologies, misspoke there. I did look at the weather in New York, not Chicago. Obviously, that was just a slip up there. A little rusty after taking a couple of days off at the cottage, drinking a lot of beer up here in Wisconsin. But it is still a pretty risky spot in terms of weather. Our guy Kevin Roth over, incredible weather guy. He does free content every day over on Twitter. He's got it tagged as yellow-orange, which is pretty risky. So on a 10-game slate with 35% ownership on Domingo Germán, I don't disagree with you, Hamwich, on kind of just crossing him off. But it's hard for me to ignore the spot here. These Cubs do strike out at a 27% clip against righties on the road this season. Germán has back-to-back pretty solid starts, no walks in his last 2 starts, 11 strikeouts. So I do have a little bit more interest in Domingo Germán at just 6,800 on the slate. Definitely monitor the weather. Definitely watch Kevin Roth on Twitter. He obviously does the weather stuff for Roto-Grinders over there, but does do free content. Great guy. I follow his weather. So keep an eye on that. And then JP Sears is interesting that you bring up JP Sears, because what's interesting here is Boston is the most popular team on this entire slate, where everyone wants to go to Boston, right, against this Oakland team. So if I pull it up, I mean, obviously it's Fenway, right? Good hitting park, good hitting weather, but they have 4 guys in this lineup that strike out over 30% to lefties. And JP Sears has been good all season. So it's interesting that you bring him up. I don't know if I can personally do it, but it might be a spot, right, where you take a look. Hey, Boston's the most the highest owned team on the slate in terms of stacks. JP Sears has been a favorable pitcher. I've played JP Sears a lot. I'm a believer in JP Sears' stuff. Obviously, the bullpen behind Sears is not very good. So could Boston get there? Yeah, absolutely they could. But at the ownership, at the caliber of pitcher that Sears has been, I don't know if I can do it with Boston. But if I had to rank this range, I'm going Domingo Germán number 1. Probably JP Sears just for the double leverage number 2. But I'm pretty much spending up here at pitcher today. I think it is a spend up spot. Hamwich, go ahead and give the people your top 3 pitchers, and then we'll go game by game breakdown.
Yeah, number 1, I'm gonna stick with Luzardo. I really like Luzardo today. Number 2 would be Aaron Nola, and then number 3, I'm gonna keep it in the top tier. And Shane Bieber would be my number 3 pitcher. Yeah, I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, no, awesome. I'm going Luzardo number 1. I'm going to go Chris Bassett number 2. I just talked about those Detroit teams. Sorry, Hoop. Sorry, G-Rise, and hopefully they don't burn me there. And then I will go. I'll go Aaron Nola number 3 at the discounted ownership. I think that is a pitcher's duo there in Miami, so I like both of those guys. Let's go game by game. Before we do, I saw it in the chat already. Our guy Junior, appreciate you, Junior, tuning in. Hit the like button. Again, we bring you these shows 6 days a week for free. And even on Saturdays, we bring you some content from our guy Hamwich giving out the MLB quick hits. So 7 days a week, we got you covered at content over here, SHIPITNation.com. All we ask, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you have not already. We're trying to get to 2,000 subscribers. We're at 1.97. So we're almost to 2,000 subscribers. Again, another giveaway coming at 2,000. So go ahead and hit that like button, hit that subscribe if you have not already. We appreciate you guys tuning in. First game on the main slate here, we got Oakland heading into Fenway again to face Boston. JP Sears on the mound. Brandon Walter, I think, is making a start here for Boston. Any interest in any of these bats here? Boston is clearing away the chalkiest team on today's slate in terms of stack. They've been hitting the ball pretty well. They get the bad bullpen behind Sears. Do you have interest in Boston? Obviously, you talked about Sears a little bit. Does that keep you off Boston? Where are you going in this one?
Yeah, with Boston being chalky, and in my I faded them on or I was lower on them than most on Friday night, and they treated me well. Yesterday I was off of them. Then we had a late pitcher change, and they got to 10 runs. So you had to have them yesterday. I'm just not a believer in this Red Sox offense. And when I look at number 6, Jorge Alfaro, number 7, Kiki Hernandez, 8, Arojo, 9, Yu Chang, I just don't believe in those guys. And I think that's an easy cross off for me. I'm 3 maxing. If you're playing 20, I think you should have them, or anything higher than 3. I think it's okay to have a little bit, but yeah, it's an easy fade and 3 max for me, just based on the ownership, based on my belief in JP Sears. Might even have, JP Sears on one of those 3 teams just as some double leverage that you mentioned. And then the Oakland Athletics, this is just insane. I mean, they don't have a single guy on their lineup above 3,300. They're tough to click on. If I get to Luzardo and Nola in one of my builds, then you might have to look at something like this where you can get a 1-2-3 all for under, let's call it 8,000 for that. They're not going to be owned. This is a bullpen game for the Red Sox, which I normally don't pick on bullpen games. So at most, I would only do a mini with the A's, and then I'm going to be completely off in a 3 max on these Red Sox.
Yeah, no, great breakdown. I'm just looking at the numbers here for the Red Sox against lefties, and I mean, they only have one dude that's hitting with power against lefties. That's Justin Turner. The rest of the team has an expected ISO 139, K rate right around 23%. JP Sears, I've been a believer in JP Sears, so I think I'm with you on the Red Sox. I think I'm going to go elsewhere. I like other spots that are lower owned. And if everyone's kind of condensing on the Red Sox today, which I see from projected ownership, I'm just going to go elsewhere. I think I'm with you there. Obviously, MME 20 max things, you can obviously have Boston, but I would definitely either go significantly under the weight on the field or over the weight, overweight, excuse me. On the Athletics, man, I can't do it. 10-game slate. Oakland, but they are cheap. I mean, Brent Rooker hit a bomb yesterday. Seth Brown would be probably my 2 favorite, maybe Ryan Noda. So if you want a mini stack, I mean, 2,900, 2,800, 3,300, all 3 guys can hit for power, guaranteed 9th inning at bats. It is a bullpen game, but it is still Fenway Park. So if you wanted to, sure, as salary, but overall, not a ton of interest in this game in general. Next game on the slate, we got Chicago, we got Yankees, the lone weather game that is in danger of postponement, I think here. It is pretty inevitable that there is going to be rain coming in this game. It's just a matter of when it gets there. How long does Herman get in before the rain comes and the delay comes? But it is interesting. I mean, these Yankees, Kyle Hendricks isn't anything to be scared of with his 14% K rate. These Yankees starting to hit the ball a little bit. Obviously, we've got Billy McKinney. I always bring that dude up. He's 2,200, can hit for power, hitting in the middle of that order. Do you have interest in any of these bats in this game? You're on mute.
Sorry about that. Yeah, once again, no interest in Herman. I do have interest in Ian Happ. Ian Happ betting in the 3-hole today. Really like Ian Happ. If this game plays, I think he takes Herman over the short porch and right. So give me some Ian Happ as a one-off, and then if you wanted to do a little mini all the way down in that 8-hole. I typically don't like playing the 8-hole, but getting 27 full outs, I'm a little bit more prone to do it, and that's Patrick Wisdom. Really like Patrick Wisdom today as well. If I was going to play Wisdom, I would probably get 2 others in there to do a mini. So maybe, go Happ, Suzuki or Bellinger, and then Wisdom, and, get like a 3-5-8, something like that. But I'm not a believer in Herman. I think Happ and Wisdom take him deep. And then Kyle Hendricks is he doesn't really get blown up, or it doesn't feel like he gets blown up because he always gets out of jams, and he, and works so methodical. Greg Maddux back in the day, playing up there in Chicago. But, Stanton hit 2 just monster bombs yesterday. Donaldson went yard yesterday. Stanton moving up a spot to the 2-hole. I'm not going to play any Yankees, but I don't think it's the worst idea if you wanted to get some of those righties against Kyle Hendricks. But no Yankees for me today, and only interest in Ian Happ and Patrick Wisdom.
Yeah, I don't really have any interest in this game overall. Sure, if you want Ian Happ, Wisdom, they both have power against pretty chalky Domingo Herman. I'm a believer in Herman, actually, looking at his last 2 starts. Again, it's hard for me to ignore the strikeouts in this Cubs team. They do have power, but, I mean, you got 3 guys in the lineup that are striking out over 35% clip. Herman, again, 11 Ks, 0 walks in his last 2 starts, perfect game. And it's not his first game back after the perfect game, which I like too. Came back and faced Baltimore, I believe, after his perfect game of Oakland. Posted a pretty favorable score, right around 15 DraftKings points, if I'm not mistaken. So do have interest there, but definitely keep an eye on the weather. We should see that because, again, it is the second game on the slate. So definitely look at Kevin Ross stuff on Twitter and keep an eye on that weather if you are going to that game. Next game on the slate here, we're going to go to Kansas City Royals and the Cleveland Guardians. Game in Cleveland here. Guardians over a 5 implied run total. And again, these Royals, pretty woeful team, and do face Shane Bieber, who I like quite a bit. Any interest in any of these Cleveland side? And I think the Royals are pretty easy cross-offs.
Yeah, no Royals to me for sure. I mean, Bobby Witt's stealing bases left and right, but he would be the only one, but I'm not really interested in him. But let's talk about this Guardians team. They were my 3rd favorite stack yesterday, and they had a good night Friday night as well. And I have tons of interest in them today just because of the matchup. I mean, they're facing Ryan Yarbrough, who can't strike anybody out, who's not any good. And I really like the righties in this lineup. Ahmad Rosario in the 2-hole, Jose Ramirez, who bats from both sides of the plate, Josh Bell, if he's in the lineup today. And then even Josh Naylor and or Andre Simenez, lefty. I don't anticipate Yarbrough being in there too long, because I think he'll get batted around. But tons of interest in this Guardians lineup. I think you can play, 1 through 8, even Max Straw down there in the 8-hole. So I will have some Guardians in my lineup, full stack on DK and full stack on FanDuel as well. So tons of interest in this Guardians lineup, and no real interest in the Royals.
Yeah, I think the Guardians are definitely in play. I typically don't like full stacking the Guardians too much. How many times have the Guardians really busted a slate open where they were needed on a 10-game slate? They just don't hit a lot of home runs. I mean, I like the mini stack more. Rosario, Jose Ramirez, Josh Naylor. Josh Bell is not in the lineup today. Josh Naylor is in there, 4,200 in the first base spot. And then Jimenez, The dude sold 3 bases the other day. He runs wild. Stolen bases are obviously huge. Fills a pretty weak second base position. So those 4 guys I would have interest in. Sure, if you want to add a 5th and make it a full stack, you can. But I prefer a 2 or 3 man stack of these guys. And it starts with Jose Ramirez there. Low strikeouts, good power against Yarbrough and the Kansas City pen behind him. Kansas City, no interest in him. I do think Shane Bieber, despite his walks being up a little bit, especially to lefties, I just don't feel the need to play a team with a 3 implied run total on a 10-game slate. Next game on the slate here, we have Toronto. Obviously, just got combined no hit against these G-Rise and Hoop Tigers up here in Detroit. Now they come back and face Mr. Tarek Screwball, who was the next reigning Zeus down from the clouds or something last game. I mean, the dude was just a freak. Does Screwball regress a little bit here in his second start? Obviously, he's a pretty solid pitcher overall. Did post a 46% strikeout rate in his first start back. But I'm seeing probably 60, 70 pitches in this start here against the Blue Jays. Do you have any interest in these Blue Jays against Screwball and then any of these Tigers for you?
Yeah, no interest in Screwball for me. I mean, he's a guy that's striking out 50% of the batters he's faced in the season. No, I was kidding. I know he's only played 1 game, but I really do like Screwball. If he was fully stretched out, I would have tons of interest in him. But I don't think you can go there just on his limited pitch count today. No interest in these Jays either. I don't think that they're hitting the ball very well. Obviously, easy to say that if they got no hit yesterday, but I am a believer in Screwball stuff. So I think 4 or 5 innings of limiting the Jays damage, and then so that gives the Jays only half a game pretty much to get that Tigers bullpen. So no interest in the Jays, and then both you and I have interest in Chris Bassett. So no interest for me on the Tiger side as well. 10-game slate, can't play them all. This is an easy cross off for me.
Yeah, I'm in lockstep with you. Obviously, Reese Olson's been pretty solid too behind Screwball. So 2 solid pitchers with a team that obviously just got no hit. Could they bounce back? Yeah, it's MLB. But 10-game slate, I'm off both sides here. I like Chris Bassett quite a bit, especially at the salary. He's pitched well against these Tigers, and I'm not a believer in this Tigers team as much as we joke about Hoop and G-Rise and overall. Next game on the slate, we have the Phillies, the Marlins. Heading into Miami, obviously we said both pitchers we like quite a bit. I think this is more of a pitcher's duel. Pretty easy cross-off spot for me for bats. Obviously, you could pick some power off in this game like Alec Boehm, Real Muto against Luzardo, right, who's going to be the chalkiest pitcher on the slate. Personally, not for me. I like Luzardo, but do you see anything different in this one?
Yeah, no, easy cross-off for me as well. Pitcher's duel. Hopefully it's a 1-0 game going into the top of the 9th, and we get out of there 1-0. But I think it's a pitcher's duel. I don't even mind stacking both of these pitchers on DraftKings. I know that's a lot of people don't do that just because you can only get 1 win, but no interest on the bats here for me.
Yeah, no, I agree. I actually like pairing pitchers together quite a bit because just a lot of people don't do it. You're guaranteed pretty much 1 win usually. At least, and obviously the win isn't huge, but those 4 points do matter sometimes. So especially when you're up towards the top of the leaderboard, if you can get an extra 4 points, hey, I'll take them anytime you're going to give them. So no bats in this one. I like both pitchers quite a bit in lockstep with you. We got about 250 watching, only 76 likes. Let's see if we can get to 130 likes. If we get to 130 likes, I'll give away the top 2 ranked pitchers over here, proprietary information in the top 2 hitters as well, who we've talked about it a ton over here. These proprietary tools, which we're not just a cores oriented site. We give you the tools, we give you the content to build competitive lineups yourself, ask questions, and really refrain from the 1v1s, 2v2s, building lineups for you guys in the Discord. We give you all the tools, the projections, the content to build winning lineups, and members put their own spin on it and continue to win each and every day. We saw a guy yesterday ship the main slate and ship the night slate, back-to-back shippers on a single entry guy. So we give you all the content, all the tools over here. We get to 130 likes, we'll give you the top ranked 2 hitters and 2 pitchers, which have been incredible all season long. Next game on the slate here, we got the Braves. Very powerful offense, but they are facing Zach Eflin. Again, I will bring it up again. This Tampa Bay bullpen behind Eflin is pretty taxed. Yesterday I was watching the game. A couple of lucky ground balls in there to get out of jams when that bullpen came in, and that's all they could talk about is how taxed this bullpen is for the Tampa Bay Rays. So they need Eflin to go long, but if Eflin does get beat around a little bit, I mean, Sean Murphy's on fire right now. I don't see him in the lineup, so he is getting the day off. But Travis d'Arnaud is no slouch either. He is sliding in there, but up and down 1 through 9, these guys can hit the ball. You can hit home runs. Acuna, Albies continues to hit well. Matt Olson, Ozuna was very hurtful last night, but he does hit right-handed pitchers very well. Do you have interest in these low-owned Braves against a pretty quality arm? And then any of these Rays for you against Bryce Elder?
Yeah, these I was looking, before the show. This Braves team is interesting. We're seeing sub 10% ownership on everybody. I think Acuna is right around 10%. And man, Eflin really struggles against right-handed batters. Striking out a little over 20%. And the bats that we won outside of Matt Olson are all right-handed. Acuna, Travis d'Arnaud, Austin Riley, Marcell Ozuna. I mean, all righties with tons of power. So if I can get these Braves, if this is sub 10%, facing Eflin, who struggles against striking out righties, I have tons of interest in this Braves team. They're one of my top 3 stacks. This team has been lights out all year. Best team in baseball, facing a guy that can't get out righties, and they're going to be sub 10%. Yeah, sign me up for that. I do wish Sean Murphy was in there, but like you said, Travis d'Arnaud is not terrible either. And so I do have interest in these Braves, and then no interest in these Rays. I believe a little bit in Elder, and our pitcher rankings believe in Elder as well. So those 2 combinations alone will keep me off of these Rays, who have been scuffling at the plate. Their shortstop Wander Franco, didn't jot, made a base running blunder yesterday. So there's a lot of turmoil over there, in my opinion. So I'm completely off these Rays today, and we'll stack some of these Braves on my teams.
Yeah, great call out. Wander Franco did a hit and run yesterday. Luke Raley hit a ball to the gap. He should have easily scored from first. He was already 3/4 of the way to second and kind of scuffled a little bit. Had to stop it. They had second and third, no outs, and Strider went 1, 2, 3 after that. They didn't score a run, and then the Braves came up and started scoring. So, the Rays are in a little bit of shambles here. I have some interest in Elder. I'm off the Rays, but again, tax bullpen. Eflin can get hit around a little bit, and it's one of the best offenses, if not the best offense in baseball. They can hit anyone. So I definitely have interest in the low-owned Braves. And I talked about our guy, Baseball Dad. I threw him up up on the screen there. The double shipper yesterday, single entry guy. Used our content over here, used my core, put his own twist on it, using the starting lineups page and the pitcher rankings, projections, and shipped both slates, 2 for 1. Nice little tons of ROI there. Again, one lineup. Shipped 2K on the night slate, shipped 1,000, I think, on the main slate, something like that. So he had a very good day. And again, 130 likes to get the top ranked 2 pitchers and 2 hitters over here on these tools, which helped him do the double shipper yesterday, along with many other members posting screenshots in the Discord, which we love to see. Next game on the slate, I have a lot of interest in this game. I saw some people already foreshadowing in the chat. This game has my favorite stack of the entire day on it, but I do think both sides are interesting here. It's St. Louis heading into Chicago to face the White Sox. A little over a 4 implied run total on both sides. Steven Matz, I talked about it. He is #not good. He was 0-7 as a starter this year. They sent him to the bullpen. He was kind of decent out of the bullpen, but again, bullpen, you're going out there, you have a totally different mindset, right? You get a warm up, you get to go out there, you're pushing an inning or 2, maybe. You're not going out there and facing this lineup who can see you multiple times. I think the White Sox, my number 1 stack on the board, I think they smash Steven Matz here. Historically have been a better hitting team against lefties. I'll hit on them when I break it down, but hit on these Cardinals too, because I think these Cardinals do have some power and some talent to get to Giolito. They are starting to hit the ball a little bit more. Obviously, they were pitiful to start the season, but I know as a Brewers fan, the second half Cardinals are a team to keep an eye on because they always turn it around. They're always there in October. So hit on this game.
Yeah, this is a good game. I'll let you stroke those White Sox. I just can't do it. Tim Anderson is absolutely horrendous. don't ever play Tim Anderson. I shouldn't say don't say that because he'll double dong on me in a New York minute, but he's awful. I don't like him at all. So anyway, enough of that. I'll let you talk about the White Sox. On the Cardinals side, I do like some Goldie today. Giolito is much better against lefties, striking out over 35% of those, but his pitches that he throws, I think Goldie can take him deep. Love him as a one-off in the 2-hole, get those full 27 out. So he's going to get that 9th inning at bat if it comes down to it. And then someone was mentioning Gorman earlier. I think Gorman can go yard or he's going to K, one of those two. Like I said, Giolito much better against lefties. So if I was playing this, it would just be a little mini with Goldie, and then Arenado in the 4-hole as well, and then finds another one off in there that you like, maybe DeJong or Walker, another righty that he struggles against. So let you talk about the White Sox, then Goldie, Arenado, and one more for me in a Cardinals mini.
Yeah, I will stroke the White Sox. I'll talk about the Cardinals first. Lars Nootbaar leading off. Brendan Donovan's not in the lineup, which is a little frightening to see because he has been incredible. He has been cheap as well. But Lars Nootbaar, 3,800 leading off. Hits righties pretty well. Don't mind him. Paul Goldschmidt, Arenado, 2-3. I love those guys. Arenado sliding up to that 3-hole. Wilson Contreras has a little bit of BVP against Giolito for all the BVP truthers out there, so don't hate that. And Paul DeJong, I continue to play this guy at shortstop, 3,200, has some power, can steal some bases, so don't hate that. I think the Cardinals are in play, but it is I am a little bit of a believer in Giolito, much more than I am of Steven Matz. So much prefer these White Sox. Again, my favorite stack of the slate. Luis Robert, Eloy Jimenez, Andrew Vaughn, Jake Berger. I mean, Jake Berger is going to Burger King today, get a double whopper, double dong. Whopper over the fence here against Mr. Matz. Even if they knock Matz out of this game, which I think they very well will overall. I like my guy Jake Berger there. A nice little lunchtime burger. Up and down. I mean, the only issue is I hate Tim Anderson as well, but man, the dude has been solid. Last year he was solid. He can steal bases, can hit for power, but man, this year he's been brutal. I actually don't mind Zach Remillard there. I get it. You played him yesterday. You have a little sour taste in your mouth for going. He went 0 for 4 yesterday, but again, 2,700 leading off. Matz is not very good against righties, and the White Sox know that, right? He's reverse splits, obviously, and they rolled out 8 right-handed batters in this lineup here against Matz. So I like the White Sox quite a bit here, and I think they go pretty overlooked here. With Matz coming back out of the bullpen and getting a kind of a emergency start here for the Cardinals. It's enough on that game. Next game, I'll let you talk about this one first because you did bring up the Astros against Logan Gilbert because they did also roll out 8 right-handed batters in this lineup here. The Mariners, I have a decent amount of interest in these Mariners against Bielak. I mean, the dude just gets barreled, and these Mariners, when they put the barrel on the ball, they start hitting home runs. My guy, Eugenio Suarez, was an absolute hero for me last week, earlier this week, Friday night, Thursday night, one of that double dong, hit a second one, top of the 9th, shipped me a bunch of money over here. So hit on this game because I do think both sides of this one are interesting, but I definitely prefer the Mariners.
Yeah, let's start on the Mariners side because they're gonna get that 9th inning at bat, and the Mariners' problem. And most of you know this, is they strike out a whole ton, right? And that's been their problem all season long. Well, enter Brandon Bielak, who can't strike out anybody in the teens on both the right-handed and the left-handed side of the plate. So he's not going to blow these guys away. You have Eugenio Suarez, who double-donged from Nades the other night. You have Cal Riley. You have Ty France. You have Teoscar Hernandez, Julio Rodriguez with power and speed, J.P. Crawford. Up and down this lineup is power, littered with power, and Bielak's not going to strike them out. So that gives me tons of interest in this Mariners lineup. They'll be up there as one of my top stacks for sure. And then same thing on the other side, on the Astros side. I talked about it on Friday night and then Saturday as well, is how Luis Castillo, and I forget who the other pitcher was, how they strike out right-handed hitters a lot, and the Astros roll out 8 of those. Well, Logan Gilbert can't strike anybody out. He's in the teens as well, striking out right-handed hitters, which means these Astros are going to put the ball in play. They're going to hit it over the fence. Kyle Tucker, I know he's a lefty. He's going to go yard today. There's going to be tons of runs in this game. I'm betting this game personally, taking the over in this game just because I feel like neither one of these pitchers are going to strike anybody out. Ball's going to be put in play. as long as we don't get BABIP to death, I think this game goes over. I think it's going to be very fruitful in the DFS world as well. So give me all these bats on the Mariners, and then 1 through 8 for these Astros.
Yeah, I'm just pulling up last 30 days here, like you mentioned, for Gilbert. 11.8% K rate to righties and a 234 ISO. And these Astros rolled out 8 of these guys. Yainer Diaz, I absolutely love him. Jose Abreu has found his power stroke again, the corpse of Jose Abreu. Obviously, it's not the same Abreu that was in Chicago, but hey, he's starting to hit the ball again. You got Bregman, you got Chas McCormick, who I love down there in the 8-hole. I'm with you. I'm in lockstep. I love both sides of this game. I don't think a lot of ownership is going to go to either side of this game, because if you look at name recognition, right, Belock, people have played Belock earlier this season, and people have played Logan Gilbert. But I will say the Mariners, Mike Ford, 2,100 is way too cheap there at first base. I mean, that's an incredible value. The dude's got a 294 expected ISO and a 400 ISO over the last 30 days. So Mike Ford, I love him. Cal Raleigh, always love Cal Raleigh. Can hit from both sides of the plate here. So he's doesn't matter if they come in with a lefty, he'll jump to the right-handed side. I had a game earlier this year where he hit a home run from both sides of the plate in the same game. So like him, Jared Kelenic, Teo Hernandez, JP Crawford's been pretty solid, 3,200 batting leadoff at a pretty weak shortstop position. Up and down 1 through 9, I think these Mariners are in play. My least favorite guy in this Mariners team would be Colton Long. Colton Long fell off a cliff after he left Milwaukee, which doesn't happen very often. Usually it's the opposite. They're trash in Milwaukee for my Brewers, and then they go to another team and they turn into all-stars. Colton Long was the opposite here. So I don't know what they gave him over in Seattle, but isn't working. So the top 8 batters I prefer, and then these Astros, any of these righties. And I mean, the lone lefty in the lineup is one of the best left-handed hitters in all of baseball, and Kyle Tucker. So love both sides of this game. I think both sides go overlooked, and it's nice to be in lockstep with you, Hamwich, here. Hopefully they can get us the money. Next game, I mean, we got to talk about these Reds, and it starts with Elly De La Cruz. I mean, the dude stole second, he stole third, he stole home, literally put his team on his back and beat the Brewers yesterday. It was hurtful to watch, and man, the Brewers that was just pitiful. I mean, the dude just ran like a gazelle out there. One of the most incredible players to watch in all of baseball. I mean, the first guy to do it since like 1910 or something, I think, right? At 20 years old. Stealing home. The dude's a freak. He is 6,100, man. You do have to pay for it. Wade Miley the corpse of Wade Miley he doesn't strike a lot of guys out, but he just doesn't get beat up too much out there. But these Reds, man, they're flying high right now on the back of Elly De La Cruz. Do you have interest in going to these Reds? And then these Brewers against Lively, who is not very good. I think the Brewers are in a decent spot. They are going to get a little bit of ownership just because of their price tags. Do you have interest in this one?
Yeah, let's talk about Elly De La Cruz. I know it's a little bit too late, but man, I wish they could get him to Seattle, get him on a plane to Seattle from Milwaukee. He'd be fun to watch with, Acuna and Ohtani and the rest of those superstars, because he's a bona fide superstar. They were my second favorite stack yesterday. I highlighted him as one of my top hitters on the slate. He does it all. He's got power. He's got speed. I said he's got the bling. He's just fun to watch. Got that hair. I wish I had some hair like that. That's good stuff. But the problem with these Reds, just looking at the lineup today, outside of Kevin Newman, they're just so expensive. So it's you gotta if you wanted to full stack them, they're just tough to stack. I mean, 6,100 for Elly De La Cruz, he's worth it, but man, that eats up a lot of your salary. So Miley is similar to Kyle Hendricks to me, I guess, is that, and Rich Hill for that matter. I mean, they're old. They're not very sexy. They're not going to strike anybody out, but you just don't rarely see them just getting blown up either. They're crafty. They've been doing this a long time. So outside of a one-off, and I'm just trying to look and see who I'd play. I mean, Wade Miley being a lefty, McClain, you can play Matt McClain, Jonathan India can always go yard, but full stack in these Reds, not for me. And then this Brewers lineup, not going to play anybody there. Nades better than anyone. This team's letting us down all season long. Ben Lively, it's his first game back in a while, and early on in the season, he was doing well. He had a couple 20-point performances. I don't know if he's going to be limited today, but I'm off these Brewers and off these Reds as a full stack. Might one off one or two of them on a little mini or a one off for the Reds. That's about it for me though.
Yeah, I'm kind of off this game overall. I'll let others chase these Brewers. I mean, Joey Weimer and Christian Yelich would be my two favorite guys. They're just hitting the ball pretty well right now. Obviously, Willie Adames, you can throw him in there. He's hitting it pretty well too, but I like him more against lefties. But Ben Lively, first game back, Brewers started to hit the ball a little bit, but again, hit a brick wall yesterday again, right? Lost the game 8-5. I can't do it. I don't love pretty much anyone in this game. I mean, these price tags on these Reds are like the Braves team. I get it, right? They've been hot. They've been doing well. But again, you mentioned crafty veteran out there, just gets some ground balls, can get some double plays, get out of there, just limit damage overall. He's not going to strike out a lot of these guys, even though the Reds do strike out nearly 30% clip against lefties. I just don't think Wade Miley has the strikeout stuff to do it. So overall, I'm under on this game. I'll let others go to this game. Sure, you can always play Ellie De La Cruz. The dude can hit a bomb. He can steal bases. Obviously, we saw that yesterday, but 6,100 is a pretty steep price tag to pay when he does strike out at a 41% clip against left-handed pitchers on the season. Next game on the slate, again, I talked about it. Best hitting weather, 15-mile-an-hour winds blowing out to left field, 90 degrees in Minnesota. And you got corpse Kyle Gibson on the mound, who has actually pitched pretty well against these Twins. And then you got Joe Ryan, a very favorable, a very solid pitcher against these Orioles. Pretty low implied run total for the Oriole. I mean, it is sitting right around 4 against a pretty quality pitcher. So Vegas definitely probably sees the weather there, sees the wind blowing out, gives a little boost there. These Twins right around a 4.7 implied run total against Gibson. I played some Twins yesterday against Tyler Wells. I think I can go back to these Twins. I like the Twins a little bit here, but do you have any interest in this one, Hamwich?
Yeah, no interest on the O side. They're fun to watch as well, but Joe Ryan. I'm gonna pick on someone other than Joe Ryan, even in this weather. And then, man, Kyle Gibson. I've been his have not been a fan of his all season long. He's not any good. But on the flip side, like I just can't stacking this Twins team is just so frustrating. They're like the Mets to me. I can never get them right. They're pinch hitting all the time. If I was going to do anything, it'd be mini. And my mini would start with Byron Buxton, who he's been awful in his own right this year. But he does profile well against Gibson. He can hit it over the, he can double dong. So it's be something like Correa, Julian, and Buxton in a 1-2-3 mini for me would be the extent that I would go. I mean, Max Kepler, if he's in the lineup, I haven't checked it. He's always been good, but really just 1, 2, and 3, Correa, Julian, and Buxton. Looking at the lineup, Kepler's batting was at 6th or 7th today. Minimal interest there. He does profile well, just looking at his expected ISO on the slate. So, yeah, that would kind of be the extent of it for me.
Yeah, I have a little bit more interest in the Twins. I think you could do like a 6-8 1-2-3 stack, a little kind of modified reach around. Obviously, we love the reach arounds over here at SHIPIT Nation. Hoop is a staple reach around guy. Talks about it all the time, right? You can get played lower the order guys. People just don't like to do that. I do think these Twins, again, it is. I'm a park guy. I'm a weather guy. 15-mile-an-hour winds blowing out 90 degrees. Ball should be flying. Kyle Gibson still getting barreled right around 8-9% clip. Low strikeout, so the Twins are going to put the ball in play. Edward Julian, Byron Buxton are my two favorite, but I do like Max Kepler, Joey Gallo. I mean, we know it with the Twins, right? The Twins, there's strikeouts that come with the Twins, but you get a little strikeout guy in Kyle Gibson. Hopefully, these Twins can put the barrel on the bat or the barrel on the ball and get that ball up into the wind, into the nice warm weather, and score some runs. Definitely not one of my favorite stacks of the day, but I do think the Twins are in play. Pretty healthy implied run total, good weather. So overall, I do have some interest in them. That's going to do it for the main slate. The rest of the games are obviously not on the main slate. We will still have it covered in the Discord. Didn't quite get to 130 likes. Let's see if we can get to 130 likes. Need about 15 more. You hit that like button while Hamwich gives his top pitcher, lower owned pitcher. And then we'll do our top hitter as well. That's going to hit a dong. So Hamwich, I'll throw it over to you. Who's your top lower owned pitcher today that's going to post a good DraftKings score or a FanDuel? I saw some FanDuel talk in the chat there, King of Smack. If you want the FanDuel, we still have all the FanDuel content covered. Hamwich does a slate plan. G Rising does a slate plan. We give FanDuel cores as well, and you can apply all of our stuff to FanDuel as well. Obviously, a little bit of different pricing structure over there. FanDuel likes to let you build all-star lineups and score 300 plus on a baseball slate. but we do still have you covered. So how much? Kick it over to you, lower owned pitcher of today's slate.
Yeah, and I'll give King of Smack. I'll give King of Smack what he wants. He wants some FanDuel love. I'll give him a pitcher that's going to be low owned that you can jam in there because obviously that's a one pitcher site. Looking at the projected ownership, give me Chris Bassett. We talked about Chris Bassett, how we liked him. I'm showing him under 10% owned on FanDuel. I think he can get to 50 points. Is probably his ceiling over there. So give me 50 for Bassett over on FanDuel as my low owned pitcher. And then on DK, we talked about it, Nades, and I think I'm going to do it. I think I'm going to bear the elements and take JP Sears on one of my three teams on DK. 6,500 JP Sears on DK would be my low owned, and then Chris Bassett on FanDuel.
Well, I'm going to go lockstep with Mr. Hamwich 8 here, and I'm going Chris Bassett as well. I had him pegged. I talked about him a ton on the show. 8,400 on DraftKings. I'm seeing 10 to 12% ownership, even if that climbs to 15%. 8,400 is just too cheap against this Detroit team that does have strikeouts come with them. I'm not scared of this lineup overall. So I'm going to go lockstep. I'm going Chris Bassett as well. I had him pegged. If I had to give a second one, I'm going to go Bryce Elder. I'm just going to trust the rankings over here. I watched that Rays team yesterday. Again, Spencer Strider is a whole different category, right, than Bryce Elder. But I do think Elder with the matchup, he's got good metrics over here on our tools. I think Bryce Elder. So I like both of those. 8K, 8,400. I like both of those guys. I'll kick it back to you, Hamwich. Who's your dawn call of the day?
I'm gonna give several if that's all right with you, Nades. I'm gonna give a low owned bomb of the day. That's it's gonna be hurtful to Nades. So Nades, you may want to close your ears, but it's gonna be Ian Happ of the Chicago Cubs is going to take Herman deep in this game. So I really like Ian Happ to go yard. And then my second dong of the day is going to be batting in the sixth hole for my Atlanta Braves. Marcell Ozuna, Ian Happ, dongs of the day.
All right. I like it. I'm going to give you a little mini stack on the same team. I already talked about it. It's my guy, 4,100, Jake Berger against the lefty. He's going to Burger King. He's going to order a double dong Whopper right from that Burger King cashier, go over the fence against Steven Matz. And then his counterpart hitting right before him, Andrew Vaughn, 3,600 at the first base position. I think he goes deep as well. Again, I love the White Sox. I talked about it quite a bit. White Sox not getting a ton of love on the slate. I think they knock Matz out of this game early, then get the bullpen. I like the White Sox here quite a bit. So I'll give you a little 5-6 stack there, Andrew Vaughn, Jake Berger, and I saw that people did respond. 130 likes, so we appreciate that. I will give you our top 2 ranked hitters on today's slate, and that's going to be number 1, Ronald Acuna. No surprise, he is going to be lower owned than he typically would. He is facing Zach Eflin. He's our number 1 ranked hitter on the whole slate. When you talk about StatCast data, you talk about his metrics against the handedness on the season and then Bo Bichette in that 2-hole there. Obviously, the Blue Jays, we didn't talk about the Blue Jays too much. So Bo Bichette ranking in number 2 against Scuball there. Expected ISO 265, average exit velocity at 98.1, low K rate, gets the barrel on the ball. So Bo Bichette, if you want a low owned shortstop there, you are going to have to pay for it a little bit. And then our top 2 ranked pitchers over here, I already gave you the one. It's Bryce Elder, ranked number 1 on our metrics over here, going against those woeful Tampa Bay Rays who have fallen off a cliff as of late. I'm going right back to the well with Bryce Elder. And then our number 2 on the main slate is Tarek Skubal. Obviously, the metrics there, again, the metrics are a limited sample. So I'll give you our second ranked one that I would actually believe because of the limited sample. It's Joe Ryan against those Baltimore Orioles. Again, it is the weather game. Hamwich talked about it. He's not as scared of these Orioles. Even in that weather game, Joe Ryan is a quality pitcher. So Bryce Elder, Joe Ryan, our 2 hitters, Bo Bichette, Ronald Acuna. That's going to do it for our show. We appreciate everyone tuning in. If you have not hit the like button, hit the like button on your way out. Hit the subscribe button. Hopefully everyone has a great All-Star break. We're going to ship the money today first before the All-Star break. We'll have you covered on NFL Best Ball, again, brought to you by drafters.com. Title Marley will be on this channel breaking down best balls, doing live drafts all week. We'll have our guys Hoop and Tambo on the PGA shows. First look, doing the premium content as well for the PGA tournament this week. I don't even know what PGA event is this week, but we'll have you covered over here. But that's going to do it for Hamlich, myself, Nades. We'll catch you guys next time. Peace.